All right, guys, so this is the Euybike. I don't know, I'm gonna call it the Euybike S4, and it is a 1,000-watt hub motor e-bike with a 48-volt, 25-amp-hour battery. Now, this bike goes for around $1,000 on Amazon. There's a coupon code that they're running right now, and I'm sure that they're gonna keep running it. But anyways, this is a really good value bike at around $1,000. And if you guys know me, I really like my Ridstar that I have back here, and that has a 20-amp-hour, 48-volt battery. But this has a 25-amp-hour battery, and it's actually cheaper than I got my Ridstar for. So I think this thing could be an amazing value. So we're gonna unbox this thing and see if it's any good. This thing is already open. It looks like somebody opened this thing already. I guess I don't have to undo the staples here. All right. So they did some unboxing for us already. Hopefully we got everything in here. We're gonna need to grab our gigantic scissor things here and cut these zip ties. All right, so we've got a box here. Set that off to the side. We've got another box right here. I think that's the battery. Yeah, that's heavy. All right, I'm gonna get that and set it down right there. Stay. Let's see what we've got in our boxes here. I'm gonna try and open it with this thing. Probably not a good idea. This thing is packed in here really nice. I'm assuming this is the battery. Yep, this is the battery right here. And I guess there's something in here. We'll open that in a second. We've got the big battery here. Man, this is a heavy battery. There's the on-off switch. This battery was on, which doesn't seem like a good idea. And there's the charging port, and then there's what looks to be where a USB would go, but there isn't one here. If we take a look at the charge port, it is a barrel type plug. So there is a charge indicator on here. So it looks like in here we've got some tools, and then we've got our battery charger. I'm gonna go throw the battery on the charger real quick. So this is a 54.6 volt 2 amp charger. So it's gonna take a long time to charge this battery up. So we'll get this thing plugged in, and you can see we're charging here. Before I forget, let's open up this little mystery package thing that came in with that battery. Oh, it's just the keys for the battery. I thought it was gonna be something else. I thought it was gonna be like some crazy thing, but no, it's just the keys. It is over there. And we will continue on with this box right here. So you can see it kind of ripped apart, but they give us this nice screwdriver. They give us this multi-tool, which a lot of these e-bikes come with. They actually give us a wrench here. The headlight, pretty cool looking headlight. It's got a nice halo on it, which is awesome. That should look real cool on the bike. And then this are the pedals. And then this is, I think, the bracket for the headlight. Yeah, this is a bracket for our headlight. And we've got a welcome card, and then we have a user manual here, which is cool. And we've got this birthday card almost. And I guess this is the warranty. All right, so we'll put all this stuff off to the side, and now let's get to the good stuff. Let's get this bike out of the pack. All right, so we'll get this foam out of here. And I can already see on our forks here, we have some adjustable compression. And I think this is the preload right here. Pretty nice, especially for around $1,000. And we've even got another box that was hidden away in here. Let's open this up and see what's in here real quick. This is a seat extender. And this is really cool because I didn't even think this was gonna come with this. So this is just an extra piece on the back that kind of extends your seat. That's awesome. I didn't even order this bike with that, and it came with it anyways. It's really cool. I don't think I've seen this before, but there's these pieces of plywood that's attached to the side of this bike. It's interesting. So this plywood that they give you could actually be a good little workstation if you don't want to scratch your bike up here. Here we've got these reflective strips, and then we have a 180 millimeter front rotor, which is nice. I heard that this bike used to ship with a 160 millimeter rotor, so that 180 is a nice upgrade. Just better stopping power, especially since this bike can go over 30 miles an hour. So we'll put this wheel off to the side here. The fenders come taped onto the back. We'll set those off to the side. As you guys can see, we have a brown saddle here on this bike, which is cool. I've heard that this is a really comfortable seat, so I can't wait to see how that is. Here we've got our battery mount, which actually has a, whoa, don't want to drop the bike. This battery mount actually has a built-in controller. I'll give you guys a better look here in a second, but that's a cool feature on this bike. There's no like controller box anywhere. The controller is actually built right into here. You can see here, we've actually got some cool pinstriping on the paint here, which is a nice touch. Kind of adds to that retro look. Get these front forks out of here. As you can see here, we've got some nice Logan hydraulic brakes on this bike, so they should stop us real well. All right, so let's get this front wheel on here so we can put this kickstand down. All right, got that shipping axle out. And one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is when manufacturers put their website on the frame here. I don't really like the free advertising, but I guess for a bike this cheap, it makes sense. Also, another thing is that this bike comes with a threaded release here for the motor, so you don't have to go and disconnect any wires from the controller if you got to take the back wheel off. On some bikes, they don't have a quick release or a disconnect like this, so you have to go in the controller and unplug it. So that's nice that this has it. Dude, so this rear suspension on here looks pretty beefy. This looks like it's going to be a really comfortable ride on this bike. All right, so getting our handlebars set up here now. So while I was setting up the handlebars, I actually stripped not the bolts, but this tool here. So the rise on these handlebars is actually pretty tall. I know it might not come off on camera, but you can see my rid star in the back there. This is a pretty tall setup. All right, so this is what I look like at 5'9" on this bike. This is a pretty comfortable riding position. It's a lot more lean back. You can move the handlebars forward, obviously, if you want to be forward a little bit more, but this is a really comfortable riding position. This rear suspension, man, this feels good. So this is what the dash looks like on here. On the left here, you've got your hand grip. This is a pretty standard grip, and then you've got your Logan hydraulic brakes, which feel really nice. And then you've got your pedal assist here, so you can see it. You can cycle through the gears here. And then you've got M, which is gonna change the bottom here, what's displayed. You can see we're sitting at about 52 volts right here, so we're almost fully charged. And we've got our headlight and our horn button, neither of which are working because we don't have the headlight on yet, and the horn is built into the headlight. It's actually reading 63% right here on the screen. So here we have our Shimano shifter, and then we've got our throttle here. You can see we're ready to go. And then our Logan brakes on the other side here. And this is the rear brake on this side, and this side is the front brake. If we lift the rear tire off the ground here, the screen here is indicating about 34 miles an hour. Awesome. All right, so we'll put on our pedals here. These feel kind of just like, they are metal, but they kind of just feel like a cheap cast. But it is nice that they are metal instead of plastic, I guess. So you can see this is a pretty big sprocket here. I don't know how many teeth it is, but it looks pretty big, so you can pedal at higher speeds. And then on the back here, you can see we have our 7 gears here, which is pretty standard fare for these moped-style e-bikes. And we've got our derailleur with a guard here. This is a Tourney TZ derailleur. Not that it really matters much because I'm not going to be pedaling this thing much. So on the rear here, we have another 180 millimeter rotor here, and then we have our Logan disc brakes. And then we've got our same tire that's on the front with the reflective strip and the cool red little liner thing there. The rear fender comes installed already, but you got to put on the front one yourself. This back here is a tail light that is also a brake light when you press the brakes, and this bike doesn't come with any turn signals. So there's one thing that I really hate installing on these e-bikes, it's these headlights. All right guys, so this is what everything looks like pretty much fully assembled. I just have to put this back seat on here. So here's what the headlight looks like with just the halo on. And then you press the button on the dash here, and you can see now it's fully on. Pretty bright headlight. You can see the beam pattern right there. So let's get this thing out and see how it does on the road. And I also have a link for the best price on this bike on Amazon in the description below if you want to check it out. Also, if you do need a helmet for your e-bike, go ahead and check out Enduro helmets. I have a link for them in the description. These helmets protect you up to 28 miles an hour, whereas a conventional helmet only protects you up to about 15 miles an hour. So if you do have an e-bike and you're looking for a helmet, go check out Enduro helmets. They've got a built-in tail light, and they have a built-in visor on this model. It's a soggy day out here. We're gonna try and make this work though. All right guys, so I'm taking off here and pedal this one. And it looks like it's taking us up to about 10 miles an hour. And if we pedal here, I'm in gear 3. Yeah, this is pretty nice. It kicks in right away. This is a good speed right here. I'm gonna up it to 2. And that's a lot faster. I think that takes you up to about 22 miles an hour. But overall, this thing feels pretty stable. Motor is relatively quiet. I'm gonna do a brake test here. Oh yeah. Those brakes are really good. Let's just do a quick acceleration test here. So I'm just gonna start off in the highest pedal assist and floor it. And hopefully you guys can see the screen there. We're at 20 now. 25. 9. Yeah, this thing gets going. This is a pretty quick e-bike. I do have a bit of a headwind right now, but even then, a headwind and 30 miles an hour is pretty good. And off the line, this thing really gives you most of the power. It's pretty jumpy off the line. You gotta be careful with the throttle. So I just got it in pedal assist 2 right now, and I'm just gonna pedal and see how it does. I feel I'm running out of gear here. That suspension feels really nice. That was I don't know if you can see it on camera, but that was a big bump. And that suspension actually feels pretty darn good. We're cruising along here in pedal assist 2, and I would say you're pretty much maxed out. I'm almost ghost pedaling here. And a lot of these moped style e-bikes are gonna be way uncomfortable to pedal, but I can say at 5'9", this thing is actually relatively comfortable to pedal. It feels like the assist takes a second to kick in. But other than that, this thing feels pretty good pedaling. But I'm gonna mostly ride on throttle because that's how I normally ride these things. Let's be honest, it's kind of what they're made for anyways. So the riding position on this bike feels really good. I'm pretty upright. This is a pretty high rise on these handlebars. It almost feels luxurious, especially since you can change the compression and the preload and everything on the front. This thing feels nice. So as far as top speed goes, I've been kind of maxing out around 29 or 30 on this thing. I will say for a hub motor, this motor is actually kind of loud. It's not annoying or unbearable, but my Ridstar is really, really quiet, so that's kind of what I'm used to. Going on some grass here. Feels fine. Going up this hill. There is a good amount of torque on this thing, especially for a hub motor. Like back there when I accelerated off that hill, it kind of threw me back a little bit. So I'm gonna see how this thing does going up this hill here. I'm gonna do it with no run out. We're gonna go up. Oh, just barely got me to the top with some pedaling there. Let's see how we can do with a little bit of run out. All right, now let's see how it does with a little bit of a run out here. Oh yeah, handles that no problem. All right, so let's pull off here and see how this thing does off-road. I'm not gonna go too crazy because this grass is super wet. It's been raining all night. But man, this ride is so comfortable. Here's some big bumps right here. Yeah, it handles them well. This is a lot of mud here. Let's see how this thing does in some mud, I guess. I'm not gonna go. Oh yeah, this is pretty miserable here. Handling it no problem though. Lots of mud right there. On wet off-road, this is pretty much the worst conditions that you could get, and it's handling it no problem. It is soaking wet out here, so these brakes are squeaking a little bit, but when they were dry, they weren't squeaking. So guys, I'm pretty impressed so far. This is turning out to be a really good bike, not just for the money, but in general as an e-bike. This thing seems to be doing really well, and I'm showing it definitely no mercy today. I mean, it's soaking wet and miserable out here, like I said, and it's handling it fine. The tires feel really good. It felt really stable going 30 miles an hour on wet pavement. In light rain and stuff, I think you should have no problem. Of course, one thing a lot of people ask is how do these things do in the rain, because some people might be using these as their vehicle, and you know, obviously electricity and water don't mix, but I think as long as you have the battery on there secure and you have all of your connections and stuff fitted properly, I think you should be okay. I just realized I didn't show you guys the horn. That's the horn. It's pretty loud. Another thing that I've noticed so far is this compression adjustment. Now this front suspension is very plush, but if you do adjust it, it seems kind of like it's either on or off. It doesn't really seem like there's too much compression adjustment. This right here is fully locked. You can see it's not moving at all. Then if I unlock it even a little bit, you can see the front suspension starts to move. And I usually just keep it as soft as possible because I just want a really good ride. Yeah, you can see it's super plush. Same thing with the back. A lot of these moped style e-bikes don't have a ton of travel, but however they engineered this frame, they gave it a good amount of travel so you can fit a good spring on there and have a pretty comfortable ride. Man, so much for keeping this thing nice and new. There's just mud all over it and all over the tires and the fender guards and stuff. Oh man, it's just a mess out here today. I picked a really good day to come test an e-bike. Anyways guys, let's hop back on this thing and head back home. Let's get out of here. Oh. Gotta be careful here. There's a ton of logs all over the place and it's super slippery. Oh. Plenty of torque to get out of here. Plenty of power. And I will say this thing is not a dirt bike, obviously. You're not gonna be doing wheelies and stuff. But if you want to take it off-road, like this is definitely still fun. I'm not even going that fast since it's so wet out, but if it was dry, you can go pretty fast on this thing. Up this big hill. Yeah, this thing just eats up bumps. You hear the brakes squeaking a little bit, that's because they're wet. So I'm definitely a fan of this riding position. And one thing here is it came with this seat extension, which is kind of falling off a little bit because I didn't put it on all the way yet, but I'm gonna do that when I get back home. But the seat extension, so where I'm sitting on this bike is kind of like in between. If I didn't have the seat extension, I'd be pretty far forward, which is okay if you're shorter, but if you're a taller person, you're probably gonna be sitting back here. So you're gonna wanna make sure if you do order this, that you get the seat extension, because I do think that this is really helpful for ride comfort. Can it wheelie? Kind of. This is a really gradual grade, and this thing handles it really well. You can see we're accelerating up it. I'm gonna go down this big curb over here and see how it feels. Oh yeah, no problem. We are back. So I'm excited to see how this thing does when it's nice and sunny out. If you do want to check this bike out, I will have the best price linked in the description if you do want to check this thing out for yourself. It is a couple days before Thanksgiving when I'm recording this, so maybe there's some Black Friday deals going on even. I'll keep you guys updated on that, but go ahead and check this out if you're in the market for a moped style e-bike like this and you want a great value and a big battery with a lot of range and a 1000-watt hub motor. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to make a full review on this bike coming here soon, so I will link that here. And we'll see you guys in the next video.